On an everyday basis, I wear 3 different types of wearables: my Oura Ring, my Apple Watch, and my visible band. Sometimes I'll wear a fourth one, which is my Lumia, but that one's a little more complicated, so I'll get back to that one later. But as someone with chronic illnesses, I am always looking for ways to figure out what's going on with my body, and I really like these things to just get a little bit better of an insight, and I also really like tech, so it's just kind of cool to me. But my Oura Ring is my newest one, and I didn't know I was going to like it anywhere near as much as I do, but I really love it, and that's from someone who I've had an Apple Watch for years, and I was like, what was the point of an Oura Ring? Why would I need that if I have an Apple Watch? But now that I have it, I really see how these two things serve completely different functions. So for me, I find the Apple Watch works really well to help me figure out how active I am. And by that, I mean, I primarily use it to track like my steps, my fitness levels, my workouts, things like that, and also to get notifications on my phone. But I don't really use it for too much else. Sometimes I'll use it to track my heart rate and see where it's at in that moment. It's particularly helpful during the exercises, of course, and seeing if like it matches up if I'm feeling kind of funny. But I don't use it that often because it doesn't really give me alerts. And if I was to use the Tachymon app that I know is really popular in the POTS community, my watch would die like immediately, so that wouldn't be very helpful to me. And I know the Apple Watch also does sleep tracking, but I would find that so uncomfortable and I just can't sleep wearing it, so I've never used that feature, to be honest. But my Oura Ring I can actually wear to sleep, which is kind of funny because my engagement rings drive me crazy and I like am always taking them off as soon as I'm home. But I actually have found that this is really good at tracking your sleep. Like, it will even detect when I fall asleep for like 20 minutes and taking a nap. And I think that's really cool because I don't have to like tell it that I'm going to sleep. It just can automatically tell. And I feel like it seems to be pretty accurate. Like the nights where I'm just like feeling more tossing and turning and I'm not sleeping as well, it does note that in the app. So I think that's pretty cool. But I think my favorite feature of the Oura Ring is the symptoms radar. And I didn't even know this was a thing until I was really doing a lot of research on an Oura Ring to figure out if I would want one. And what's cool about it is it tracks how you're sleeping. It tracks like your recovery. It tracks your stress throughout the day. And somehow it pulls together some data to figure out like what's going on with you. And as someone who has chronic illnesses, and I'm always like not sure if I'm getting sick with like a cold or something is like seriously wrong with me, or if I'm just having kind of a little bit of a bad day, but I'll be okay-ish. So what I've noticed though is that I've had 2 instances since I have had this ring where it has come up and said that something is really wrong with me. So in the last 4.5 months, I have actually been under a ton of stress and I've been pushing myself, honestly, probably a little too hard. And because of that and because of my chronic illnesses, I didn't know if I was getting sick and something else was going on or if I was just having a bad day from pushing myself too hard. Because sometimes my MCAS symptoms make it seem like I'm getting a cold, and so I can't really tell the difference. But I've noticed that there have been 2 instances where my ring has actually caught when something seriously wrong is going on with me. And it told me that there were warning signs. So it actually helped me prepare myself and like figure out that I was getting sick before I even realized it. One of the times was when I got a cold, and the other time was when I actually passed out from a nerve block. But that's a whole other story, and I'll get into that. But I really have been enjoying this ring because I feel like it gives me a better insight than any other wearable that I currently have. And I feel like it has been incredibly useful and honestly a bit reassuring too, and giving me some peace of mind when I am stressing out. I'm like, am I getting sick or am I just having like a low energy day? Like, what is going on with me? And I feel like the ring has been able to help me figure out a bit more about myself. I'm really excited to keep diving into more of the features, but I really like this so far. My last everyday wearable is my visible band, and it is primarily marketed toward people with chronic illnesses as a way to help you visualize how much energy every activity or everything that you're doing in a day costs you, so you can better figure out how to pace your life. And this was actually recommended to me by one of my physical therapists because I'm trying to figure out like how I can pace my life, how I can figure out how much energy everything is taking, how I can structure my days, things like that. And I found that this is actually incredibly helpful. The visible band essentially acts like a constant heart rate monitor. So I have a reading for my heart rate every minute of the day while I'm sleeping and whatever. As long as I'm wearing the band and it's charged, it is reading my heart rate. And I've compared it to, my Oura Ring, and I've compared it to my watch, and it seems to be pretty accurate. So I really like that. And what it does is, like, the first week or so, it kind of like is trying to get used to you, calibrating, whatever. And then it will assign you a point score. So if you're familiar with the spoon theory, it is essentially a way to help you visualize how many spoons you're using up the day. So like my score is 17 points a day is what I should be aiming to be about. And what it will do is it will measure based off of like my stress levels. I'll see it because when I'm stressed, my heart rate spikes, or when I'm standing or moving or whatever, it's reading that and it is calculating how many points like you're using throughout the day. And you can go in and figure out like, okay, this time to this time I was cooking. And then you can tag that as cooking. And then you can see how many points that thing takes up for you. And I feel like that's a really cool concept to actually be able to visualize how much energy something is taking up. Like one thing I learned about myself is getting dressed and getting ready is something that really triggers my heart rate to go up. And I can see that both with my Oura Ring, especially because my Oura Ring will often trigger and be like, hey, were you working out? Which is not something that my Apple Watch ever did. And I can also see how it spikes on my like Visible Band app. And the other thing too is that the Visible Band will send you notifications either like every minute or every 2 minutes, whatever you set it to let you know when you're in your exertion zone, and kind of like let you know that your heart rate is getting pretty high or like something is going on with you. So I feel like it has helped me be a bit better in tune with what's going on in my body. One thing to note about that though is it sends notifications like through your phone. So it doesn't send you notifications on the band itself. So you either have to have your phone by you, or for me, because I have an Apple Watch, it will come up on my Apple Watch. But I honestly have found that all three of these wearables do different things for me, completely different. And I found them to be really helpful to figure out different aspects of my life. Of course, nothing is complete, but I really enjoyed having all three of these the past couple months to try to figure out and have a little bit better insight of what's going on. And I'm really excited, honestly, to be able to dive more into the analytics and everything this year. Because like I said, I've been insanely busy the last 4 months, so I haven't really been able to do as much with the data as I would like to. But one thing that I'm really excited to do going into this year is actually taking the time to really like dive into the data and see what I can do with it and see if it helps me have like better days, or if it gives me even better insights on my day-to-day and how I can pace my life or how I should structure my days or anything like that. So I just want to share all that. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these wearables or the Lumia, which I can make a entirely different video on. But I just wanted to share because I haven't seen too many people compare all three of these wearables, especially if you have chronic illnesses, and see what use cases you could actually have with all of them.